Okay, so hi everyone. In this session, we will explore two interesting features available on IBM, which are IFS and Save file. Let's look into the agenda of this session first. Firstly, we will explore the general concept of IFS. Then we will discuss how to access it on IBM. We will also discuss the useful commands to work with IFS. Then we will be discussing about Save file, its need, how we can create it, its download process, and the process to upload it. Let's firstly look into what is IFS. So, it stands for Integrated File System. It is mainly a part of IBM operating system that supports stream input output and storage management. We can consider IFS as a bridge connecting the IBM world with the other file systems. So mainly it assists in integrating and managing the data from different sources. Let's take an example to understand the concept. Suppose you have a CSV or a text file in your system local storage and you want to integrate or transfer the file to your IBM system environment. So to connect the IBM system environment and the local storage, we can take help of IFS. Also, there are total of 10 file systems which can be accessed through a common interface of IFS. Also, one another important feature is that it follows directory structure. So for those who are not familiar with directory concept, directories basically acts like a container for storing other directories and files. It mainly helps to organize and retrieve data in a hierarchical manner. So as you can see at the bottom of this slide, an example of IFS directory link. The first forward slash you see is called the root directory, and before each forward slash there is a directory name mentioned. So the first directory mentioned over here is QSys. As we all know, all libraries are inside QSys library. Then there is kwtest.lib, which is the library name I'm trying to access through this directory link. And then at the end, it is qrpglesrc.file. So QSys will be called the parent directory of kw test library, and kw test library will be the parent directory of qrpglesrc. So this is one of the example of the directory link. Let's move ahead and see how we can access the IFS on IBM. So the first step is to click on actions available on the top bar of your IBM system, as we can see in this slide as well. Then there is option of integrated file system on the drop down. We have to select that. After that, the IFS will open, and as shown on this slide, we can enter the directory we want to access. Now let me show you all how it can be done through the IBM server. So I'm on the IBM server right now. There is this actions available, and inside the drop down there is integrated file system. I will click on it. Okay, so we can see IFS has opened. Here we can see firstly there is a drop down to select the directory we wish to access. By default it is loading home/khushi. So let's take an example. For example, I want to access one of my libraries through this IFS. So what I will do, I will firstly enter a forward slash. Then I will enter qsys.lib. One important thing to note is that giving the extension is really important. So if I will enter qsys without .lib extension and press enter, I will be getting this error. The specified path does not exist. So giving the extension of the object is really important. So I will enter .lib. Then I will be entering the library I want to access. So I'm giving the library name, and now I will press enter. Okay. So we can see all the objects in this library have been listed down. There is this name column showing the name of the objects. Then there is this column showing the size of the objects, and the last column is also really important. It is showing the last modified date of the objects. So after this we can also see that right now in the inside the name column the objects are being listed down in reverse alphabetical order, right? So I can also sort this records in a different manner. Like if I will click on the name column, then the order will be reversed, as you all can see right now. Another important feature is the icon column available over here. We can see there is a folder icon in front of QRPGLE SRC. This is because we all are aware that QRPGLE SRC, it is one of the source files, and every source file contains all the source members being created inside it. So it has a folder icon, which means we can further extend this directory. So for example, if I will double click on it, then we can see all the members are being listed down over here. Then there is one include option as well. So in this include option, I can mention any member name, for example, for this source file, which I want to filter out. So if I will mention test pgm1 and press enter, then it is filtering out only that source member. There is this cross icon available through which I can clear the filter. Apart from this, there is also this up arrow icon available. This mainly helps us to go back to the parent directory. Right now, we are at QRPGLE SRC directory, and its parent directory is the library name. So if I will click on it, I will go back to my library. And also there is this icon to refresh the search. So that's a small tour of the features available on the IFS interface. Okay, moving ahead. Now let's discuss some of the useful commands while working with IFS on IBM. First is work link. So as we access IFS directory through the actions option right now, apart from that, we can enter the work link command also to access any particular directory. Next command is crtdir. With this, we can create our own directory. We can mention under which parent directory it will be created, and then we can give the directory name we wish to create. Then the next command is edtf, which is used to edit the data of any particular file. So by entering this command, we can modify the data of the file whose directory link we are mentioning inside this command. And at last is DSPF. Through this, we can view the content of a file in a directory. So if we want to check the content of the CSV file, for example, which is uploaded in the system, then we can use the DSPF command. And the syntax of these commands are pretty simple. We have to enter the command and then enter the directory and file name. Moving ahead, there are more commonly used commands. First is copy from IMPF and second is copy to IMPF. Both these command job are the opposite to each other. So copy from IMPF command is used to copy the data from an import file. Here import file in these commands basically represents the external files which are mainly used for copying data between different types of databases like CSV, PDF, text files. These are some of the examples. So using copy from IMPF command, we can copy data in a import file to a database file. And here database file represents the physical file or the logical files that are created in your IBMI system. Now let's talk about its parameters. First is from STMF. In this, the directory link of the import file we wish to access is required. And then next parameter is to file. In this, the location of the database file will be required. So we will give the library name in which that database file is, and then we will give the database file name. The next option is MBR OPT parameter, which is the um, member option parameter. So what it does, if your to file has some existing data and it needs to be replaced, so we can mention star replace. Otherwise, there is one more parameter star add. So what will happen if your existing to file has some existing data and you wish to not replace that and just add the data coming from your import file, then we can use star add. Otherwise, if you want your existing data to be lost after executing this command, then you can mention star replace. Then the last parameter is RCD-DML, which represents the record delimiter. Here, record delimiter means which character in the from file param will denotes the end and the start of new record in the to file. So for text files, we use the star CRLF, which is the carriage return, and LF represents line feed. These delimiters basically denotes the end of one line in the text files. Apart from this, we can also mention any character value that will work as the record delimiter. For example, we can mention comma to work as a delimiter. And copy to IMPF command does the opposite job. It helps to copy the data from a database file to an import file. So its parameters also include the file, from file, to file, MBR OPT, where we can give star replace or star add. Then is RCD DLM, where also we are giving CRLF. And then is STR-DLM, which specify the string delimiter, which means characters that are inside the from file will indicate the end of one character value. Here, star none means that a blank space will work as the delimiter. So between every blank space inside the data of your from file, there will be the characters between every blank space will be considered as one character value. Apart from star none, we can also mention star double quote. So double quote will work as character delimiter in place of blank value. Also, the syntax shown on these for these two commands is just one type of configuration. There are basically many parameters available for these commands which we can control based on how we want to copy the data. Now let me go back to the IBMI server to show how to run the commands we discussed. Okay, so the first is the work link command. If I can do F4 on it, there is this work link command, and as you all have learned this in your previous sessions, we can take F1 on this command and learn everything about it, its parameters, what they can do. So basically, as we discussed, work link command will help us to access any particular directory. So in this object parameter, I can mention the directory link I want to access. So firstly, I will be adding a root directory. Then I am accessing one directory home, and inside there is a directory already existing on this system, which is Khushi. So I'm entering that. Apart from that, we can also manage the object type we want to access and the detail display option, all these parameters. But the important parameter, the mandatory parameter is the object. Now, if I will press enter, we can see I am able to access this Khushi directory, which is inside the parent directory home. And we have multiple options as well, like option 2 to edit this file, option 3 to copy, option 4 will remove this object link, and with option 5 we can view the data of this of this directory. Then option 7 we can rename this object link, and option 8 we can display its attributes. Right now, if I will take option 5, right now we can see there is only one directory test.dir created inside it. Okay, so now what we will do, now we are going to explore the second command, which is crtdir. And what we will do, we will create one more directory inside this Khushi directory. Okay, so let me hit the command crtdir. I'll take the F4, and here we have again the directory parameter. Here I will add the directory link, um, test dir2. So what will happen, inside this parent directory Khushi, there will be one more directory that will be created, that is dir2. And we can, as we can see, there are more additional parameters available, like how we want to manage the authority, how we want to scan the options. So these also we can modify. And now if I will press enter, we can see there is a message directory created. Now if I will take option 5, F5 to refresh, we can see under this directory testdir2 has been created. Now with this as well, we have multiple options to work with. One of the option is option 5. So if I will take option 5 on it, right now we can see there are no objects inside this directory. Okay, I will take F12, and we will be back at the Khushi directory. And now let's take the option 2. So what will happen? We are going to edit this directory with option 2 now. So here we can see again we have those options that were available on the previous screen. Then we have this column that says new file. So what will happen, if we will enter any file name over here and press enter, that file will be created under this testdir2 directory. So now let's create a text file inside this testdir2, test.txt. So if we are creating a text file, we have to keep the extension .txt. So now I'm pressing enter. So we can see this file has been created, and for the first time by default it is opened in edit mode. We can see this interface. Here it is mentioned edit file, which means we can edit the data inside this file. And right now there is no data, so we can enter any test data inside it. Let's add that. This is a test. Okay, so I have added this data inside this file. Now what will happen, we can see there are multiple function keys available at the bottom. Option, if you will look at the option F3, it is to save and exit from this file. If we don't want to exit from this file, we can just press F2. As I pressed F2 right now, the data has been saved in this file, and we are still not, we can still, edit this file further. But if I will press F3, I will save this file and also exit from it. So now if I will press F3, now we have exit from the file and the data is also saved. Here I will do F5 to refresh. Then I can see this test file is now visible. Now again, Moving ahead, we will be discussing about the third command, that is edtf, that was used to edit the file. Okay, so here also we can see there is this option to edit. So if we will take option 2 over here, then also it will be doing the same job as edtf command, which means with this option edtf command is being run. So if I will take option 2, we are back on the same interface. Now let me also show you all the edtf command. So I enter the edit file command and then I will be adding the directory link I want to access. So inside Khushi I had the testdir2 and then test.txt. Now we can see we are again back to our edit file interface where we can further edit this data if we want. Okay, moving ahead, there was this fourth command, that was dspf, to view the data of the directory. So if I will take dspf here, here we can see it is display file. So here you can see there are two options. Either we can display a file using the using our directory link, or we can also mention a database file location using the file name and the library. So right now we are learning how to access the directory link. So I will be using this option. So I'm pressing enter now. So right now we are able to see the data now, the inside the file we created, but you can see it is in browse mode, which means we can view the data but we cannot modify it. So that what this command does. Moving ahead, let's discuss the last two commands, which was doing the opposite job. That was copy from IMPF and copy to IMPF. Let's firstly type copy from IMPF. So copy from IMPF, will be copying the data inside a import file to a data. So import file we have seen right now. Let me query once the database file also that we will be accessing. Okay. So you can see it is a flat file. It and it is blank right now. And after running a command, we will be inserting data inside it from our import file. Let me run copy from IMPF. I'll do F4. Okay. So firstly we have to give the directory link of the file whose data we wish to access. Then you can see there is from file as well, which is again showing the file name and library. So it is not always required to access the import file. You can also mention the database file as well in the from file parameter. Right now we are using one import file, a text file, which is inside the testdir2 directory. Moving ahead, we will discuss what will be inside the to file parameter. It is going to be the database file inside which we will insert the data that we just saw, and there was no records in that file. It is a single member file only, so I am not changing the member parameter. Then comes the parameter which we already discussed, replace or add records. So I'm keeping star add, which means I don't want to replace the existing records in this database file. However, it is blank right now, but still I prefer to use star add, so the existing data is not lost. Okay, moving ahead. Moving ahead, there is this record delimiter parameter that we discussed, for which we have to mention the value CRLF. And there is also more parameters available, which we can control based on how we want to, how we want to copy the data. So right now, if I will press enter, okay, in this we have to mention CRLF. Okay, I'm giving the wrong library name. Yeah. Now we can see one record has been copied to our database file. If I will run query this file again, we can see the data that was inside our text file is now being inserted in this database file. So that is how copy from IMPF works. Now let's see copy to IMPF. So it will do the reverse job. With this, we will transfer the data. We will be transferring the data from our database file to the text file that we just saw. So I will enter the database file details first. Then the directory link of the text file. Okay. Now here we can see the result. I'm keeping star add for the replace or add record. So which means the existing record that was in our text file that we just saw will not be replaced. Then moving ahead, we will be keeping the record delimiter as CRLF only. Okay. So I also wanted to show you all the there are further parameters as well. Like we can see string delimiter that we discussed, which is how one character in the file will be considered. So right now it is double quote, which means characters between any two double quotes will be considered as one character value. But if I will give star none, then string delimiter will work as blank value. Apart from this, there are also multiple parameters, like how we wish to handle the blanks. Do we want to remove them? And if so, do we want to remove only the leading blanks or the trailing blanks? Then is the column to decide the field delimiter. How you wish to separate the multiple fields in your file. Then how the date and time format you wish to consider. And if we want to add any column names or not, we can give star sys, so the system names will be considered. So now if I will press enter, now we can see all records have been copied to our text file. Let's do the work link on that again. I will take option 5 in place of DSPF command to view the data inside this file. So we can see two more records have been inserted in this file. One that because I ran that command for two times, that is why two records have been inserted. Also, you can see second record is with quotes and third is without quotes. This is because the second record was inserted with string delimiter as double quote, and the third was with star none, which means blank value was considered. That is why. So that were the important commands required to that are useful basically while we are accessing IFS. Now we can move ahead. So now we will discuss the second topic for today, which is SAVFs. So save files is basically the type of files on IBM that allows to create a compressed archive of data and objects. So inside SAVFs, we can store all the types of objects like libraries, database files, IFS directories, etc. Now, let me give an example for better understanding. Suppose you have created a library with almost 50 objects, and the server you are working on is going to expire next week. So, the server is expiring next week. Does that mean that the work you have done in it will be lost? The answer to this question is no. So, to save the work that you have done, you can create a save file which will store all the important data. And once your server credentials are back, you can restore all the data that is present in that save file. Apart from data backup, save files are also helpful for system migration and data sharing. Now let's see the practical aspects. First is how to create the save file and download the file in your local system. So step 1 is to create the save file using the crt savf command. We have to mention the library name in which we wish to create the save file and then the save file name. Step 2 is to run the command savelib. So it will save all the objects of the library entered in the lib parameter. And then the next value is the parameter dev, which means device, and we are keeping its value as star savf. And then inside the SAVF parameter, we have to mention the file name and the library in which we wish to create it. Now, as you can see, apart from save lim, we can also run the command save obj. So what it will do? Apart from saving the entire library, you can save any particular objects as well in that library. So we can, the syntax of the command is exactly the same. We just have to use save obj in place of save lib. And then the step 3 is once your step 1 and step 2 is done, then in step 3, you have to download the save file created and you have to download it in your local storage. So as we know, IFS is the bridge between the IBMI and other file systems. So we will open IFS in step 3. So firstly, we have to select the directory in which the SAVF is stored. Then we will right click on the save file name. And after that, a drop down will appear. And there you will see an option download. And through that, we can download the save file in any particular location of your local storage. So that is how you can create and download the save file. Now we will discuss how to upload the saved data inside the save file to an IBMI server. So in step 1, we will open the IFS and we will right click on it, and then there will be this option to upload. And of course, we have to select first the directory link where we wish to upload it. And once we will do right click, we have to click on the upload option and select the local storage location from which we wish to upload the save file. And after that, the upload process will begin. And once done, the save file will be uploaded to your IBMI system. And then we can run the rstlib command. What it will do, it will restore the library data to IBMI from your save file. As discussed, there was this command save obj. So similarly, if you have used save obj command, you can restore the object using the rst obj command. So now let me show this entire process practically. First step is to create the save file. So I will create it using the crt savf command. I will do F4 and I will be giving a save file name. Let me give it test SAVF1 and I will give the library name in which I wish to create this file. Now I will press enter. So the file has been created. Now the second step is to save the library. So I will run the command save lib. I'll do F4. Here in the library parameter, we should not be confused. In the library parameter, we will give the library name whose data we want to save. So I want to save the data of this library. Then in the device, as discussed, we have to mention star SAVF. Then I'll do F10. So what will happen? There will be multiple additional parameters. So here we can see there is save file. So we have to mention the save file that we just created. Then I will mention the library in which this save file is created. Okay. And apart from this, we can also mention the release version we want to keep, update, we want to update the history. If so, we can choose yes, and then if not, we can choose no. Apart from this, there are multiple other additional parameters as well. But the important ones are these four that we discussed. Now, if I will press enter, we can see four objects have been saved from this file. And then how we can make sure the objects that we require have been successfully saved in the save file. For that, we have this command dsp savf. Here we have to mention the library name in which the save file is, and then the save file name. Here you can see it will give us all the information, the library which is saved, what are the objects, what are its type, and all the other required information. Okay, so we have created the save file, we have saved the library. Now the third step is to download it in your local system. So for that we will take help of IFS. We will go to the library which has the file. Okay. Okay, so we can see the save file we created is listed down here. I will right click, then select download. And then there is multiple options. Either you want to save it in downloads folder on the desktop, or you can specify particular location. If I will click on browse, I can select any particular location. Then there is this option if you wish to save it as a text file. So right now we will not select this option, but if any of the requirement in which you wish to save any of your file as text file, you can select this option. I will click on OK. It will ask for confirmation again. And you can see the download process has started. And now it is completed and our file has been successfully downloaded. So the first segment for save file is done. Now comes the second segment, which is how we can upload the save files. Now suppose there is this new server. So if it is a new server, it will not have the library we saved. It will not have this save file that we have. So I can delete these. So I can use a command dltf to delete the save file that we created. Okay. So now in this server, we don't have the save file. And then I can use the command dltlib to delete the library. Okay. So I'm entering the library name which I create, which I have saved in the save file. So basically that save file has the data of this library. So if I will press enter, this library is deleted. So now in this server, we don't have the library and we don't have the save file as well. If I will refresh, the save file is gone. So now I only have the save file in my local storage, and that save file has my library as well. So now what I have to do, I have to firstly upload the save file in this server. So for that I will right click and click on upload. Then I will select the storage, the save file from the local storage. Click on OK for the confirmation, and the upload process is now started. Okay, so it has been successfully uploaded. Now the last step was to restore the library. So I will be running the command rstlib. I'll do F4. I will enter the library name that has been saved. Then I will enter star SAVF in the device. I will enter the file name and then the library name which has this file. And I will press enter. So we can see the four objects have been restored in the library. So now if I will do work object on this library, it will be existing in this system. So that is how a whole save file process works, how we can download it and upload it as well on the IBMI server. Moving ahead, there is one more important um, concept to show, that is how we can retrieve the object's information in a particular directory. Like you have the directory link of an object, but you want to check what further directories or files are present in it. So for that there is this table qsys2 dot ifs objects statistics. This is the function through which we can uh, through which we can get basically all this information. So I ran this SQL on the home slash Khushi directory, and this was the result. I am able to get the path name. Then there is this object type, like which type of object it is. It is a directory or it is a stream file. Then the data size as well, and then it is the basically the object owner. So this will further be discussed in our coming sessions. So that is all for today. I hope this session has provided you with the key takeaways of the concept. Thank you, everyone. Now we can take up the queries. If you have any, please drop it in the Q&A section.
So if anyone have questions, so you all can put in the Q&A box so that Khushi can answer. No questions? Okay, we can wait 2 more minutes. Then we can wrap up this session. Okay, I think there are no more questions. So we are good to wrap up this session. Thank you, Kushi. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.